So this is what we're going to carve today. It's a Santa detailed beard cape standing on a book, separate boots carved independently. And the book says naughty or nice. Kind of a fun project to do. I usually do the smaller ones like this, and then I decide if I want to go into something a little bit bigger with it. And I think I will with this one. So, two-part series. I didn't want to put it all in one video. Hope you like it. So to get to that point of the final product, what I've got here is a 2x2 by 2 inch. This is about 8 and about 8 1/4 long. This is 3/4, and this is 1 inch. So I'm going to try to observe the wood grain as I kind of work through this. But this is going to be, as you saw, a Santa standing with his boots here on a naughty or nice book is ultimately what I'm looking for, which is kind of weird because when I start filming these things, the beginning part, obviously I filmed afterwards, so I really don't know exactly what this is going to look like, but it's going to look like what I just showed you ultimately, which is a little odd when you're filming these things. But so the first part is going to be roughing the Santa out, and I thought on this video what I would do is give you sort of an overview of how this whole thing gets worked out, you know, and how I carve it. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to spend a little bit more time filming the face, because as you guys know, when you start filming these things, you can go into the hours and hours of video. So on this particular video, I think I'm going to focus on how I carve the face, because to me that's one of the most important parts. You get that down and the rest is soon to follow. Kind of looks like I need a new saw blade here, the way this thing ripped through that. Might be going out today to get a new saw blade, among some other things. I just kind of like wandering the Home Depot sometimes, you know, and you see things that you never knew you needed. Great fun. So anyway, let me start carving this, and we'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, so at this point, I've just rounded off the edges, and now I'm going for the shoulders. And I kind of like what I've done on other videos. I want that face to be back a little bit, just so I've got room to put stuff. You know, mittens, and want to make sure I've got room for the arms. You know, we talk about going to Home Depot or Lowe's, you know, and just wandering around and looking at what's out there on the aisles and seeing what's new. And, you know, God bless them, these people that work there. They try to help you, you know, the best they can. And it's almost like every corner you go around, can I help you? Can I help you? Can I help you find something? And, you know, I feel bad saying, you know, I'm just looking. But it's sort of like therapeutic, you know, just looking to see what new things are out there. It's like, no, I really don't know what I'm looking for. I'm just wandering around like every other middle-aged guy, just seeing what kind of new drill bits you got. I don't say that, but, you know, I feel bad for refusing their help, you know, as they see me wandering around and looking and picking up things. But great fun on a rainy afternoon. Yeah, I usually cut these things off, and I was looking at the blade that I use. It's just a 10-inch blade, and I think it's 23 teeth per inch. And it actually did pretty good, but I'm going to go for something a little bit more like a 40 tooth per inch blade. And my gosh, the prices, jeez. You know, typical middle-aged guy here, everything's expensive, right? But no, the reality is, you know, these blades, 40 bucks, 45 bucks for a good blade, man. But you think back and it's like, well, how much did I cut with this blade? And it's like, whoa, you know, it actually did, it's cut through a forest, you know, and the thing is still working pretty darn good. So, you know, you do get what you pay for in the end. And if you want that nice, even cut, you don't want these ratty edges, you know, I think a finer blade is worth the money. Okay, time to pencil in the face and take it to the next step. Okay, so far so good. So I've penciled in the face and I've got that done. So now I'm just going to follow the brim of that hat and get my gouge here. So this is, I'm going to try to tell you guys what I'm using here. This is a 70° by 3/8. Happens to be a feel. I think they label this as a number 12, but kind of looks to me like after I set this thing up next to another gouge, 70°, and it's 3/8 wide at the top. But you know, pretty much anything that you have that's a V gouge is going to do the trick. Doesn't have to be the exact same thing that I'm using. And my favorite makers are Feel, P-F-E-I-L, and Flex Cut. Those are the ones that I've been using the longest. And this is a number 3 by 5/8. Pre-sharpened for our carving pleasure. Just want to take that right to that tassel. You know, one of the things we talk about these big box stores, up here we've got Menards, and they're forever putting on those 11% sales, and then they extend it. You know, it's, why don't you just leave it at 11% off? Why all the, you know, advertising? And just leave it 11% off, be done with it. You know, but I guess there's a lot of people who don't clip those coupons and send them in. You know, you got to take that receipt, trim off the lower half, put it together in a envelope and send it in. Kind of a pain in the butt, I guess, but if you're my age and you got nothing better to do, you clip the coupon and you send it in. How many of us middle-agers forget to do that? Very few. Why? Because we got nothing better to do. As always, feel free to turn the volume down as I kind of babble on about this stuff. Some people use music. A lot of times I just babble on. Okay, so I think I'm getting there. In a sort of rough way. So we're getting that face. Okay, clean that up a little bit, pencil it back in, and we'll take it to the next step. Okay, so this is the 70 degree by 1/4 inch, and I've got the face penciled in, and I'm just going to notch out that classic T shape. This gouge is almost too big for this. Actually, this 70 degree by 1/8 might be a better choice for this size. Cut underneath the nose. Looks like I'm off a little bit. Instead of that, I'm going to use this gouge, which is a number 3 by 3/8. You know, I didn't have my light on. Sorry about that. There we go. A round of applause from everybody as I remember to finally turn my light on. He remembered. Yay. Luckily, I haven't gotten to the stage where I forget everything. But I do carry the original iPhone in my back pocket all the time. You know, which I'm constantly scribbling things on. Oh yeah, there they are. There's the rebate form. See, like I said, we will not miss a rebate to save our life here. We buy something, I mean, if you're 50 and over, by God, you're going to fill that form in. No two ways around it. And yes, if I see a receipt on the floor and it has that rebate thing on it, I'm going to pick it up. Yeah, I'll fill it in, send it in. 11%, you got to believe it. And what I'm trying to do is get some depth here so that I can make that nose stand out a little bit. So I'm going to notch it at this point, just above the tip of the nose. Just get in here and get some of this cleaned up. Yeah, so I don't have a pickup truck, which I know is a rarity for up here. I'm in the Midwest. I've got an SUV, and had to pick up some plywood. In this case, I obviously couldn't fit a 4 by 8 foot sheet of plywood in the car. So yes, they do have handy panels, which are 4 by 4 foot. But the question is, how many of those could I fit in the car? So I knew it was going to be an ordeal, and to save myself the embarrassment if it didn't fit, I parked way out on the outside of the parking lot. And of course, as soon as I pull in, a guy in a BMW pulls right next to me. You know, acres of parking around me. It's like, no, I want to be kind of by myself because I'm going to have to fiddle with getting these things in, and I don't want to have an audience. But no, he parked right next to me. And so I went in, got my 4x4 foot sheets, and I thought, you know, I'm just going to get two 4x4 foot sheets. I looked online and I knew that there was a guy somewhere that tried it and he fit one in, so I thought, okay, let's see if I can do two. So I got back to the car and I'm like, the guy is still there. It's like, go away. Jeez. I don't want you watching me fiddle fart with getting a sheet of plywood in my SUV. Luckily, I don't know what he was doing, checking his phone or something. Who knows these days? I got back and I kind of looked over and smiled, and for whatever reason, he pulled away. That did it. Just smile at people. They'll take off. So, yes, I did manage to fit the two 4x4 foot sheets in the back of the SUV. I was quite proud of that. 3 would have been a bridge too far. That would not have done it, but yes, it did work. So I need 6 total for what I'm trying to do, and I'll have to go back and make 3 separate trips. But, you know, I don't really need a truck. I could have rented the truck. Big ordeal there. They rent the truck out on Sundays, you know, where I'm at. Only on Sundays because the contractors have to have it during the week if they need it. Oh, really? So I just thought, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to get 3 trips while I'm out shopping. It's only 2.5 miles. So at this point, folks, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to plane out this part of the eye. So the next step is notch it right here very carefully. Come up with this number 3 3/8 gouge. And now I'm going to go flat here. I'm going to take that edge off just like that. Clean it up a little bit in a second. Same thing over here. Okay. So again, what I'm looking for is kind of a nice flat surface here to carve the eyes. You know, when I was getting that plywood, I thought I can return 1 sheet. You know, as embarrassing as it is, I can't fit it in my car. I got 2, and I thought if I have to take the 1 back, I can do that. But I didn't want to even do that, obviously, if I could avoid it. But I made it work. So I'm just checking here to make sure that this can come off a little bit there. That is looking pretty consistent. It's kind of what I'm going for here, is consistency and symmetry. Okay. I don't know if you can see that in the light, but I've got 2 planes there that are very flat. Perfect. Good. That'll be a nice nose. Okay. So I'm going to do the unthinkable here and sand that a little bit. This should be, this is 220. I want 440. Where's my 440? Where'd it go? Somebody took it. All right, 220 will work. That's another big thing when you get older. Somebody took it. No, you just can't remember where you put it. Nope, somebody took it. I learned that from my dad. It was just here. Somebody took it. No, Dad. Nobody took it. Could it be you just forgot? It was right here. Right here. Yeah, my dad's 79. Getting up there. Still very sharp. Dad, if you're listening, you're still very sharp. That's good. Okay. So I'm going to pencil these eyes in. I'm going to spend a little bit more time showing you guys here. I know these videos get kind of long. And I was thinking, how can I make these videos a little bit shorter? Redo the mustache here. And I thought maybe if I just concentrate on an aspect of the carving and then give them a high view of everything else, that would be good. Okay, get this deal penciled back in. Of course, you got your beard, something like this. And yes, the Santa is holding another gift, just like the last video that I did. But I thought, you know, if he's standing on a naughty or nice book, what else is he going to be holding other than a gift? So I'm looking for my very tiny 70° by 1 millimeter. I've got two of these. One's old, one's new. This is the new. I think I'm so frugal. I always try to use my old gouges. You know, don't want to ruin it. Don't want to use a new one yet. So I'm just going to follow pencil line. Here we go. How does that look? This one's a little too high. And I'm going to take the knife and lightly follow what I just did. Same thing over here. I don't know why I'm whispering. Okay, let's go through the bottom here. Same thing on this side. Like that. It's like like an operating room here. Quiet, please. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Take the notches out. Oh, there's the mailman. And there's the dog. There we go, folks. Yes, we have a situation every day when the mailman comes. Some things never change. Every day. And this is, by the way, a number 3 by an 1/8. And I'm just rounding off the edges of that eye as carefully as I can. All right. there for the cleanup. I will say that my eyes aren't as good as they used to be. This is so tiny. Trying to get in there. This eye's still a little bit bigger than I want it to be. So, let's see. That's better. A little better. Okay. And so this is the time where you can do those little micro shaves to get this thing in order and symmetrical. Like that. Again, the symmetry is what I'm going for here. This eye is still a little bit bigger. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell, but when you look at it, you can see that it's a little bit bigger. That's better. Come in here a little bit. How are we doing there? A little bit more in here. Okay. Yeah, sometimes these things are so small. I mean, it's really like microsurgery to try to get them carved out. So this is the 70 degree by an 1/8, and I'm just going to follow the top part of the mustache like this. Same thing over here. And again, I'm just spending a little bit more time showing you guys how you might want to consider doing the eyes. And again, you know, on a bigger carving, you can do the eye mounds. I know there's some guys on YouTube here that like doing the traditional eye mounds, you know, with the eyelids. And when you get this tiny, of a carving, I think it's easier to carve the eyes like I showed you on these little tiny carvings. On a bigger carving, much more wood and room to do that eye mound approach, but not so much on these. Okay, put a little notch here, undercut that. Same thing over here, little notch. Yeah, that looks good. Undercut. Perfect. All right. Shape that cheek a little bit. Carefully. Okay. So at this stage, I'm going to repencil this And use that 70-degree gouge again. That's 70 by 1/8 of an inch gouge. Just kind of part that out. Could have got a little closer there. All right. So folks, I'm going to break it here and I'll show you what's next. Okay, so I've got the eyes shaped out and I did a little bit of cleanup in here. Take the edge off of some of these high points. And I undercut the mustache a little bit. Take that out, clean that up a little. So the next thing that I'm going to do is work on the present right here. I'm just going to use this 70-degree by 1/8 gouge, and I'm just going to part that out. It can be a little rough at this stage because we can detail this out. And use this, which is the number 3 3/8, to come in on the bottom of these gloves. Might use this gouge right here. Not sure exactly. I don't have the size on this one, but it's got this round shape at the top that's perfect for doing these bows at the top. Continue cleaning this up a little bit. So I'm going to keep doing this, and I'll take a second here and continue on and then show you what it looks like. Okay, this is where I'm at the moment. Cleaned up around the present a little bit. Got the bow hashed out. I'm going to take this. This is a field number 12, and I think it's about 3/8 of an inch V gouge. Just going to follow the contour of the beard. All right. One of the things I got in the mail today, if you remember just a little while back when the dogs were barking, was a video camera. I've got all of these, like everybody else, I guess, my age. I've got all of these videos that were filmed on a 8mm tape, you know, either the high 8 or the video 8. And I had to buy a camcorder because the one that I had was from 1995, and what I've surmised is that some of the capacitors, you know, burned out or leaked, or, you know, if you got something old that's electronic, you know what's going to go first? The capacitors. They're like little mini batteries. They either leak or they go bad. And in this case, because I do a little bit of electronics, and I've been doing that ever since I was a kid, I surmise that through a guy that took his apart, same unit, that the audio circuit had a bad capacitor in it. So I had to buy a new player. You know, of course I could send it into Legacy Box, but, you know, that would, you know, that's not cheap. I forget how many hundreds of dollars, and I have no idea what's on these tapes. It could be, you know, video of gardening and, you know, stuff that I don't really care about at this stage to save. And I didn't want to send it off to one of those companies. So anyway, I bought this camcorder that's a little bit newer. I think it's from 2006. And I just opened the package, and I'll be darned if the darn thing doesn't smell like smoke. Oh, my God. I used to smoke back in the day, a little bit. But it just, it's amazing to me how sensitive, I guess, my nose is to that. So I brought it down here in the lower level, and I opened the box, and nobody wants to smell it upstairs, so it's been banished. You know, poor video camera from 2007 just can't get a break, right? Poor thing's still working. So anyway, I'm going to transfer all of the tapes, and then because I don't need it, I'll probably put it back on eBay for sale, with the inclusion of a card that plugs into the computer that makes it easier to transfer the videos, so somebody else might be able to use it. But my gosh, just imagine the house that came from, if I can still smell the smoke. So I'm just carving out underneath the arms while I'm babbling on here, and I'm going to continue to do that up into the other side and work on the elbows. Okay, just working on these elbow areas in here. And I want to push this back a little bit more. And I'm using this number 3 by 5/8. Just kind of eyeballing this to see exactly where I want it to end up. A little bit more. Let's try that. Yeah, that's looking better. Clean up the inside. And I'll do the other side. Okay, this is where the sand is at right now. So the next thing I want to do is just take out some of this material, and I'm using this number 7 25 millimeter, which I use a lot for rough out. So I'm going to keep doing that all the way around, and while I'm at it, I'm going to take this back in a little bit with this gouge. Kind of give them a little bit less of a hunched over look. But that's what I'm going to do, and then I'll show you what he looks like. Okay, so this is where I've got the Santa at the moment, kind of still roughed out. But I lined up for the shoes, I lined up the block with the grain, and I've penciled in the shoes. So now the next step is I'm going to use this number 3 by 5/8 to kind of shape this out a little bit. Kind of encourage this wood. And I did go a little big on the shoes because I can always take it down, but I can't put it back when I take wood off. So I might use this gouge. Of course, I could take this to the bandsaw, but that would be too easy. This doesn't take long. A little more exercise. Okay, so I'm probably going to use this number 3 by 5/8 to do a little bit more shaping on these shoes, and kind of get the something like this. And again, I can always take off, but I think this will be the front of the shoes. This will be the part that gets the dowel. So I'll keep working on that. Kind of like last time, I think I used this, or any gouge would do, but you just want to delineate the two sides. And again, this little bit here in the front, that's going to be the front, and this will be the back. And then ultimately, when I get these things looking really good, I'll take my coping saw and just cut them down the middle. So I'll keep working on those and show you what it looks like. Okay, so having carved these down a little bit, I'm going to finish cutting them in half and then finish carving them out a little bit further. Okay, now the feet have been carved out. Pretty symmetrical. And those will fit nicely in here once they're doweled, like that. But before I get there, I just penciled in a little bit of a cuff, the center of the robe, and I think what I'm going to do is put a sort of a cape around like this. So the next part, before I get into that though, what I'd like to do is use this gouge, which is a number 8 3/8 gouge. And the last one that I did, it didn't have any ripples in the robe. So this one is going to have ripples. But before I get there, I just want to even some of this out. This is the number 3 5/8. And I'm just using this to take some of the squareness away. Add some of these ripples in the cape. Then I'm going to follow that up with this number 12 3/8 inch gouge. And I'm just going to accentuate some of these ripples. Okay. And the next thing I'm going to do is take this 70° 1/8 V gouge and just take out the center of where the robe is going to meet the rest of the robe, kind of like where the buttons are going to go. Take that edge off. Maybe a button there. One right there. Then I'm going to take that same gouge, the 70°, and just form out the cuffs. Use this number 3 3/8 just to clean that up a little bit. line that up. So that looks pretty good. And come over on this side and do the same thing. This saint is going to have a little bit more detail, so it's going to take a little bit longer. And that's why I thought I would do maybe two separate, break it up into several different episodes. So the next thing I'm going to do is carve out the cape using that 70 degree and just follow that around. While I'm at it, I'll also do the brim.